All right, finally. You don't want to know what I just went through. I wasn't planning on being on a live stream that long. It's taken me 45 minutes to start the live stream. All right, let's put that behind us. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope you're going to have a wonderful weekend. I want to stay productive and plan ahead for the future. I got some projects in mind. I got some more live streams in mind. And I got to do some preliminary work so that I can do the future work. And rather than film and edit and make a big deal out of all that other stuff, I just live stream it. Everybody can see it. In the meantime, we can chat. Say hello to new subscribers. There's been a trickle of new subscribers since day one. I really like the way the channel is growing. I appreciate everybody's time watching the videos, commenting. It's a great experience. So I got some, what I'm going to do today is I have a set of hollows and rounds. So it'll be just two planes that I want to do this coming week. And I also have a blank for a very large jointer plane. So, and then I have just a few small blanks that I want to use for the wedges for the hollow and the round. So I'll get that done first, and then we'll see where that leads us. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. You're free to watch any of the other videos. If you have questions, ask a question. I have polls going. You can participate in the polls. I'm going to try and do about one every month. And I think it might be useful to keep a dialogue going and just use it more as less as a learning tool and more as an excuse to socialize amongst woodworkers and people that have common hobbies and stuff like that. So let me get this thing going. This is my scrub plane. So hopefully this doesn't move around. Let's see, I got my straight edges here, and I got my winding sticks. Let's see how this looks here. Okay, this grain is going in both directions. This is bolted maple, and this is going with the hollow and the round that I'm going to make. They're bolted maple as well. Set really nice. These floats are making noise. Things rattling around, making noise. These out of here. There's still a lot of stuff rattling. Let's see what we got here. See what we got for straightness. It's not bad. Let's see what we have for twist. See what we got here. Okay, that looks good. That'll be fine. Get at least 5 or 6. Well, not 5 or 6, maybe 3 or 4 wedges into that. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna put this slightly in front of the clamp. Okay. Oh, this thing came loose. Yeah. It's going like this. It's tough grain. It's going in two directions at once. What else is new? Okay, it's one piece down. All right, I got another one. I'm gonna make, this is basically a backup, since I'll be doing the hollows and rounds live. I won't have time to mill another piece and edit it or anything like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and fabricate this now. This was already milled. In case anyone cares, this was a sample piece from a hollow and round that I made. You can see what that looks like. Not a hollow and round, an OG plane. This was a sample that I made of one of the OG planes that I made. This is bolted maple. Came out nice. So now let's take a look at this grain here. Ah. All right. That's not going to work. Okay, let's look at the grain on this one. Okay. This is high through here. Not bad. Okay, that's not too bad. All right, that's pretty flat. Okay, that's going to be the side of the plane. It looks pretty darn good. Let's see what this looks like. Let's see, where is this? I think I'm going to make this the bottom of the plane. Like this. Okay. And the grain looks like it's all over the place again. What else is new? there's a twist in this. Slight. Let's see. Okay. It's going to make a nice blank. 1-inch hollow and round coming up next week on a live stream. Okay, this one's not going to take that long. It's already been flattened, but I broke it down off the larger. This was connected to a big misshapen portion of a log. So I'm going to go ahead and flatten it again and get it right where I want it, because this is going to be the end. This is the real deal. Let's see, this has to be 12.5 inches long. Wow. I'm going to come right out to the end on this. is to go here. Yeah. It's wearing me out. All right, it's still a little low on the end. It's really close. All right. That's good enough. rocking it. Okay. All right. Let's see how straight these edges are. It's always a good check. If they meet together nicely. Which they do. The seam is nice and tight. That's pretty good. Okay, so I only got one more blank left. Let's see if it'll fit up here. Okay, so before I get involved with the blank, let me have some coffee and show everyone the plane that I'm going to copy. It's this joiner plane right here. It's very nice. It's the longest joiner plane that I have. I have about 4 or 5 that are like this, but about 2 or 3 inches shorter. I believe this is 26 inches. This is the blade you saw me with a couple of videos ago, and I copied it. And you saw me temper it in the very last video before this one, or harden it. So this is roughly 3 1/4 or 3 3/8 by 3 3/8. So it's a big blank, and I have a total of 4 big blanks. So I'm gonna pick the best one, which is this one, to get that plane out of it. And ideally, I would use machines for this and do it real quick. And I don't have access to machines, and not right now anyway. So what I want to do is I'm going to start this. I want to start this one, and I'm going to do the squaring up by hand. It's got some checking in it. I'll deal with that when the time comes, if it's a problem. I filled it with glue, and worst comes to worst, it might be a minor defect in the finished plank. It's not going to stop me from using this. Otherwise, I think it's a pretty decent piece of wood to make this project out of. So this is going to be a little while. This is going to be a good, let's see, I've been on for an hour. This will take at least another hour just to do by itself. So All right. The end of it's back here. And the middle of it, well, you'll just see me come through here for a little while. There's not much I could do about that. I'm not going to change the camera settings right now. It is what it is. I just do the best I can. Give a chance for everyone to see what I'm doing. It's not really a big deal. So I try and keep it simple. Okay, so I got my winding sticks right there. I got my square. Got my straight edge right here. Might as well take a look at this. So there was some crossover right here where the two saws didn't meet properly, so there's a high spot. So all this has to drop down, and then I'll be where this low spot is, and then I'll see what else I can do with that. And let's see how much of a twist is in it now. This is pretty darn flat. So as long as I don't favor one corner or one side, it'll still be pretty much flat, even though I drop the surface straight down. And then I'll square up the two sides, and that'll enable me to put it in the 8-inch table saw that I have, and start to cut it to size. But I need square corners in order to do all that work. I don't have access to any other equipment that'll do it any other way. So here we are. So I took this blank from a tree that came about 2 or 3 towns away, and I took it in March of 2019. So this has been drying for approximately 37 months. So I took almost 16 feet of the trunk, which was about 12.5 inches in diameter, and I made a dining room set out of it, 2 chairs, which you saw me build in the series that I did, the grandmother's chair, and a whole bunch of planes and other stuff, and there's a little bit left of it, and I'm going to make planes with all that stuff, and that should bring me into March or April of 2023, when the blanks that I prepared just recently will be ready, and then I'll have enough blanks to go another 2 or 3 years. But I got to keep my eyes open for trees in the area, and have them on hand drying. So right now I'm just being a little extra creative with lumber that I have available. There's tons and tons of projects I have ideas for, but I don't have the blanks right now. So for a while, for another 12 months, that's going to be the tail that wags the dog. But it's not really a problem because there'll be plenty of nice projects like this one. All right. Now this right in here is in line with all this up here. So I got to go straight across everything now and lower this a good 1/16 of an inch. Get this crossover out. You can see that in this camera here. There's the crossover. And one of the reasons why I had this crossover was because when I took this log in 2019, I didn't need it. And so about 2 weeks ago was when I milled it with the new saw that I made and all the other stuff that everybody saw me do. But this was already completely dry and it was very, very hard. And that contributed to the difficulties that I had with the crossover. Now, I could pretty much say with confidence that this is worse than any of the crossover that I had with the recent work that I did. The reason why is because those were freshly cut logs. They were wet and they were very easy to cut with the saws that I had. And the way I do it with the laser and everything and straight edges and all, you eliminate this. So one of the other reasons for cutting your wood into blanks while the logs are wet is because you want to avoid this problem. You don't the especially with this maple that I've been using for the last couple of years, it gets very, very hard. So if you think that you're gaining anything by waiting to cut it, you're not, because it just gets more difficult. The wood gets harder and the work becomes more difficult. And this is the result of that. And so you're going to watch me do all this for that reason. So, a word to the wise. When you seal the logs and you take the bark off, start working on it. Get it going. There's no advantage to letting it sit. Absolutely none. Now, if you have a joiner and you have a planer, this means nothing to you. I'm not in that position. So This is just like a big I told you so to myself. Okay. Let's see. This down a little bit. This is all high. Up through here. There's a little high right there. So I got a video coming up about having steel available for your projects, ordering it, keeping it in inventory, planning ahead for it. This is one of the reasons why you should have steel on your available to you. You can see I'm using scraps as winding sticks, and I'm using a nice piece. I'm using a 3-foot bar of 1/8" tool steel as a straight edge. I've been using, I've been using this as a straight edge for 5 or 6 years. It's very, very handy to have around. Is it expensive? Yes. But there's no substitute for it. And if I had to, in a pinch, I could use this for blades and then just get another piece. Okay. All right. This is still high up here. It's still high up here. Before I go too far, let's see what happens here. So this is really square. It's close. Okay. So what I also have to check is to make sure that the work I'm doing on this face is not going to make these two other faces worse. So these edges were all laid out when I roughed them with the laser and a square. So everything is straight and pretty much 90 degrees to each other, even in the rough stage. But when you're doing something like this, you should check it and not make this contradict the work that you already did on the two sides. You know, this is the first flat face. So once I get this right where I want it, then I'll make these two edges 90 degrees to this face. And this is going to end up being the top of the plane. So the bottom of the plane is still within the rest of this log. Drop this down just a tad. All right. Still high. Right through here. Right through there. Okay. Still a little high. Right here. And in here. getting there. I think I'm more than halfway done. Gotta get this crossover out. Still a lot of work. This might be enough. All right. I'm going to switch over to the smoothing plane. Another plane that I built myself. Let's see. It's probably set too deep. So this was a plane that I built when I started my YouTube channel. There's a video of me making 2 of these. So they came out nice. They're very comfortable to use. It's a homemade blade. You know the story behind that. So it's not just a paperweight. It's not a showpiece. When you make planes like this, you make them so that you could use them. And that's what I do. So, and the purpose of my channel and me filming everything is so that you can see how you make these planes. So you have the information, you have the knowledge, and you shorten your learning curve so that you don't have to build them and then make mistakes and build more and make mistakes. You can see me make mistakes and then learn from my mistakes. And the other reason I make all these planes is because I have a feeling that some people are watching videos for purely entertainment value, because when you see people working and they have a shop and they have fancy equipment, you don't identify with that information because, like me, you might not have access to that equipment. So you can't participate, you can't be creative at that level because you don't have a shop, you don't have heavy power equipment, you don't have a film crew. And once you look at all the learning curves and everything else besides the equipment, you say, all right, so I'll just watch and I won't participate. And I think that that's a myth that has to be busted, because I'm doing it. I'm in my kitchen. You see my stove right here. And behind me is my refrigerator down here. And that's where I work. And that's where I make everything. And so having lack of facilities doesn't stop me from working. And I don't think it should stop anyone else. So once you have the right information and the right motivation, then your potential is unlimited. And that's what I believe. If you look at the forefathers of the woodworking industry, they didn't have fancy equipment. You go back far enough, they didn't even have electric lights. They didn't even have heat. They used to use coal stoves in shops. They used to have big doors. They'd open the doors and have light. They'd have to have a workbench near a window so that they could get light. They'd have gas lamps. Once you lost your eyesight, you were pretty much done. They switched you over to something else. You took you off your workbench because you couldn't see what you were doing. So with all the modern conveniences we have, there's really few excuses remaining to not be able to participate in woodworking on some level. That's what I think. So I feel very lucky because being a woodworker, I like to use planes, but I also think that they're great projects to make them. And it's a self-fulfilling, uh, what would be the term? A self-fulfilling hobby because I'm making, I'm making planes that I like to use as well. So I'm really lucky that way. So one of the projects that I have coming up is I'm going to make a moving plane, a coffin plane just like this, but it's going to be Razzie style with the full tote behind it. So it'll be like a combination of this and this together. I don't know if you can see that, but that's pretty much what I'm looking to build. So I have a real nice blank for it. I did the blade a couple of days ago, and we'll see how that comes out. I like using this one, but it's a little rough on the hands. For a lot of work, it's not ideal, but I really like the design on it and everything else, and it is a very usable plane. But and I haven't made anything with in the Razzie style, so it'll be a good change of pace. And I have a blank for it, so that's a good thing too. So now let me switch over to the I don't know what you call this, floor plane or whatever, joiner plane. See how this goes. This out now. It's getting pretty darn flat. So I got a little bit of a low spot here, but this is just gonna. I really need this face just to pass this blank through the table saw. Excuse me. This section of it is probably going to be trimmed. So right here, this surface will not be part of the final plane. So I just need it to be straight, flat, and square, so that I could mill the other two faces and run it through the saw. So when I do stuff like this, I rely on winding sticks. I can explain briefly how they work in case anyone doesn't know. What you're doing is you're using the top edge of the winding sticks as an optical reference point. And the idea is that if this plane is twisted, then the two top edges of these winding sticks will not be parallel to each other. They'll be misaligned. And then you'll see one peaking above, slightly above the same end of the other winding stick. And then what you want to do is take the high spot on your board and lower it so that the winding sticks come back into alignment. So when you, I'll just exaggerate it, but let's see if they do it like this. So for instance, this one would be a high spot underneath here. And then what you would do is trim it, and you'd want to sight them so that the top edge, now everything is straight all the way across. And what you can do is you can get to within a very small amount. And the longer your winding stick is, the more accurate you'll be, because what you're doing is you're basically increasing the fineness of your ability to determine the flatness. So if you had 4-foot winding sticks and they were dead flat on the ends, 4 feet out, that's a real high degree of flatness. So you can't really use flat winding sticks that are too short. And the other thing is that trying to do this by eye I find it very difficult. Something that you think is flat, when you check with winding sticks, you'll find that it isn't. And they're very reliable. And this is another reason why I like having steel around, so that you can do things like this with it. So that's the purpose of, that's how you use the winding sticks. And the more you use them, the easier they are. You see me, I just go from one to the other. The other thing I do, like when I have this straight edge, what I do sometimes is I twist it. And what'll happen sometimes is it'll sit on the ends, and there'll be a hollow spot in the middle, and then this will wobble. And when it grabs, like it's grabbing right now, that means there's no low spot underneath. So it's grabbing all along here, and it's not wobbling. So like right here, this has got a little low spot under it because it's wobbling without grabbing. So and then the other thing I've done is you can put graphite on this edge and then rub it along here, and then that'll give where the graphite transfers, that'll be your high spots. And you may see me do that when I tune the bottom of the plane. That I will spend some time on and get very flat and take all the twist out of it. Much more than I would at this stage of the game. So let me keep going. It's looking pretty good. This looks again. Just a tad high here, tad high there. go flat. All right. Okay, I got to go right across these two corners. And I think I'm going to have it dialed in. That's pretty good. That's it. Okay. So let's see what we got here. Okay, hopefully this is slightly less work because these faces are just a tad smaller. And I don't think I'm going to have the problem with the crossover. So it's not really perfectly flat, but I think it looks doable. So let's see what we got here. Just take a few shots. Okay, so now I have one more element that I have to be concerned about, and that's that I have to keep this square. So I have to make it flat, straight, and square to the other face. So there's a couple of reasons why, besides that I can't do this any other way, but there's benefits to this. First of all, the straighter and the more square you make the body of the plane when you're working on it, the easier it will be to make the plane. And you can tune it again. Probably like right after you set the wedge for the blade, I would give it one last check and make it as flat and as straight as you can. That's going to affect the performance of the plane, because at that point you'll be pretty much done making the plane, and then you'll spend the rest of your life hopefully using it. And That's where you're really going to get the big payoff. So in some fashion, this would look like it's a lot of pointless work, but in reality, this work is going to translate directly or indirectly, depending on how you look at it, into the final product, which is a plane that you're going to use. And frankly, you'd have to have some really nice equipment to be able to get stuff as straight and as flat and square as what I have, is what I'm going for by doing it by hand. So it's not just that you need a joiner, for instance, or a planer, but you got to spend the time to make sure that it's tuned properly and there's no snipe and all those other unique characteristics that those machines have. So I'd love to be able to do this by machine and basically save time. That's really where it's at. In terms of being able to do it, work itself doesn't bother me. The energy involved doesn't bother me. I don't mind it at all. It's just that it's a bit of a chore. It's a bit of a chore to stay here and commit yourself to the time that it takes to do the work. All right, let me switch over to coffin plane. See if I can make any headway with this. Let's see what's in here. See what we have. Okay. There's no twist in it. It's a little out of square. It's a little high. Okay. It's very, very close. I like that. That's straight. And that's square. See, a little bit of a low spot. It's a little low right up in here. I don't want to have to drop this whole thing down to meet that. It's going to be a lot of work. Yeah, there's scraps. Like, the winding sticks are just scraps. I had wood ones at one time, and they just got beat up and they were really short. I used them, but steel ones are better. Thanks for stopping by and saying hello. Miller's Falls. I don't know what that is. That's a brand name? Oh, this plane right here? This is Paragon. I believe it's British. I'm not sure though. I bought this. I've had this for 40 years. So it was a long, long time ago when I bought it, and I believe at the time I wanted a record, and there was no way I could afford it. And I was in a woodworker's shop at the time, a store, and they sold me this, and they said that I would be happy with it. And I can tell you, the fellow was right. Yeah, it's called Paragon. I don't know if they're in business or not anymore, but and it's oh yeah, British. It says made in England. So what is this? Has it got a number on it? I don't know. Some of them have numbers on it. It's a number 5. I used to know what all that stuff meant. All I really care about is if they work or not. I don't really care what they call. So obviously, I don't. The name Miller's Falls doesn't ring a bell. So there's a lot that I don't know. I'm kind of in my own little world, as you could see. And right now, my world consists of making planes. So, but that's cool. this. Yeah, this is maple. I took this off a tree in March of 2019. So that's 3 years, about 37 months ago. And earlier in this live stream, I did some spalted maple blanks. I'm going to be doing some I'm going to be making a set of hollows and rounds. This is what I did earlier, and I also prepared some stock for wedges. So I'm going to make a hollow and a round, a 1-inch hollow and a 1-inch round on a live stream, and probably 2 separate live streams, one for each plane. And I'm going to try and make what would you call it? The round plane without using the hollow to shape it. I'm going to shape the round plane a different way. So it's going to be hairy. I have it planned, but I've never done it before. So I'll be live streaming it, and if it fails, everyone will see me. Everyone will see me fail. It'll be an epic fail. But I could do it the way I did it in my other video, which is use the one plane to make the other, and that's not a bad thing. It's just that this is going to be like an extra twist, an extra contortion to try and figure out another way of doing it. Just more or less like a proof of concept more than anything else. So, and if worst comes to worst, if that fails, I'll be doing that plane second, so that if my original idea fails, then I'll just use the other one to fabricate it. So that's what I did earlier today. And this is going to be a joiner plane. I have the original that I'm going to copy right here. This is a beauty. I'm not sure when it was made. The blade says Glasgow, Scotland on it. So it might be from across the pond, as they say. I don't know if it's got a stamp on it. Yeah, it says. Let's see what it says. Matheson, Edinburgh. So this is from Scotland. I'm going to guess and say it's at least 100 years old. And it probably came here in a steamship. And if it's old enough, maybe if it predated steam, it came here in a trunk in a ship that had sails. And I wouldn't dare use it. It's in really, really good condition. It's got no splits in it. The only major problem with it is a small piece of the tote broke off. But I would never use it. I would never mess with it. I would never clean it. This is somebody's work from a long, long time ago. But I'll be copying it. And then this I will use. You will see me use this plane. So the last video that I did, I made the iron for it. This is the iron. It's got all the carbon on it. But I checked it with the file. It's got a really good hard edge on it. And I cleaned 2 of them already. What I do is I take them to the sink. I have the wet dry sandpaper. I used 100 grit. And I put it in the sink and just blast off all the carbon. So this is the before. This is the before for the 2-inch blade right here, and this is the after. And all this was done with 100 grit sandpaper in the sink. So that's how I do it. And then once I have the plane made, that's when I'll tune the face of the cutting face and put the edge on it. But so I'm very happy with the way those came out. And that's the method to my madness. Just, harvest the lumber, mill it by hand, dry it for 37 months, fabricate it by hand, live stream it. That's the way I roll, and that's what makes me happy. And I'm happy to share the information with everybody else and entertain you while you're watching. You see all my mistakes and everything as I go along. Sometimes I move like a snail. Really, that's the way I work. So, let's see. Just double check this one more time. I think this is looking pretty good. It's got a slight little twist to it. Take that out. Keep this square. All right, this is good. We move on to the last face of this thing. I've been dealing with Hudson Steel. They're on the internet. And I believe there's a minimum order. So the first thing I tell them is, they say like, what's the name of your company? And I just say, I'm a YouTuber. I just need this is not, I don't need a tractor trailer load of tool steel. So just know right off the bat, you have a minimum, whatever it is, like $200. So I'm going to do a video. I already have it. It's in my queue for, everything you have to go through in terms of the planning and the ordering and stuff like that. The sort of the mindset behind buying steel. I know there's small orders that you could make, like with the knife companies and stuff. You're going to go broke if you do that. It's not cheap to buy it the way I do, but it's still less expensive than buying it from the knife supply companies and stuff. So my orders typically run around like $250. But if you're crafty about what you order, you can make planes for 2 or 3 years with a $250 order. So that's what I've been trying to do. And then you got to stay on top of it, because eventually, as you start running out, you'll be able to make less and less planes. You'll have less and less choice to make through your stock, and then you'll have to put together another order. But that's basically your first order buys you, I would say, 2 years of plane making at the rate that I go, and gives you the versatility because you don't have to stop and scratch your head every time you want to make a plane or floats or anything else, winding sticks. So I did a whole video on that. I'll release that probably, well, soon. Okay, this is all high through here. You know what I'll do? I got my keyboard right here. So why don't I just answer that in the chat? This way everybody could see it and it'll be a permanent record. All right. They're nice people over there. Pay for it with a credit card, make the order by phone, line up all your ducks in a row, get your order together, your thicknesses, your lengths, your widths, and call them up. And then they'll take all your information. They'll get your shipping address, your credit card information, your email address, and then it'll be delivered by probably like UPS or something like that. I actually like ordering the steel because it's like waking up in the morning and having a whole day in front of you and knowing that it's going to be a great day. And so when I'm ordering $300 worth of steel, it means that I'm going to be making a hell of a lot of planes. And that's what I want to do. So ordering the steel for me is a good thing. And you know what? I think what would be really cool, and I'm not gonna gain anything by it, but tell them Rough Cut sent you. Just say, yeah, there's a guy that, he's a woodworker and he uses your steel and he makes a lot of neat projects, and I got your name from him. That way they know that they're accommodating somebody and with a small order, and that person appreciates it. And let them know that you appreciate that they're doing all the paperwork and the shipping for somebody that has a hobby. Because I really do. I really appreciate it myself. So it's a small world, You need the steel, they need the business, and let them know. So I got this. This particular wood came from a maple tree about 3 or 4 towns over from where I live, and I knew the homeowner, and they notified me. They know that I wanted the wood, and they notified me when the tree person came to cut it down, and I met them there before they started, and I was able to tell them the section of the tree that I wanted and the lengths that I wanted. And they told me that I was crazy because they usually cut the stuff up for firewood, which is like 18-inch pieces. And I actually had 4 sections of the trunk about, it was 12.5 inches. They're about, yeah, roughly 12.5, but basically 4-foot sections, a little bit over. One of them was a little over 4 feet. And they were really heavy. They helped me load them into my truck. They had a whole crew there, and I took them right home and sealed them, and made a lot of stuff out of it. And there's very little bit of it left, and this is big enough for a jointed plane. It's time until my other blanks dry properly, which you saw me harvest recently. I'll be making projects that are centered around the blanks that I have available. So right now I don't have full versatility, but I will. And there'll always be reasons to make videos. Still all high back here. See how straight this is right here. This is really good. It's a little high right there. I'm not building the joiner now. No. No, the first thing I'm going to do is the hollows and rounds, and then I'll start working on the joiner after that. You won't see me do the work on the. I need to mill this to size on my small table saw, and that's why I'm squaring it up now. So at that point, I will be ready to start the project. I have the tote already made, which I did in another video. Uh, the blade is ready. So what I'll do with this joiner is probably do it on a live stream and lay out the bed angle and the abutments and the throat, lay out the location for the tote, start chopping it all up, and I will probably try and fabricate the wedge and get it as a working plane by the end of the live stream. And then I could always round over the top and cut it to length. That I'll do off camera, but I'm gonna do about 90% of the plane on a live stream. So that will be later. This is really like doing this work now is kind of hard to film. I don't know. It's not worth making like an edited video. And since I'm doing the work anyway, I figure I might as well live stream it. So right now, this is like parts of 3 projects that you're seeing me working on. It's all the preliminary stuff. No, I don't have it's a good question. I don't have an estimate of the moisture content. I dry everything indoors. So naturally in the summer, I have air conditioning on, and in the winter, I have heat on. So, and I don't take the planes outside. I don't sell them. They don't get transported anywhere. So this wood will stay inside the house till I drop dead or move or something. So it's stable. That's all I really know. I have, like, for instance, where is it? The smoothing plane. This was milled in probably like 2015 or 2016, and then I made the plane about a year and a half ago in one of my first videos, my first video. So I don't know what the moisture content is. There's no shrinking, there's no checking. All I know is it's sufficiently dried so that it performs as a plane. So if it's 10% or 11% or whatever it is, I have no idea. But it's a good question. And really what your question also brings forth is that it's a subject that needs study. In other words, I'm admitting that there are things that I don't know. And since I have things that are working for me now without pursuing a lot more information, all I can say is that your pursuit of that type of information, like for instance, moisture content, is a pursuit that you would make on your own. And I wholeheartedly endorse it. For me, knowing that it's dry and that it's stable is good enough. And that's where I left it for myself. But I wouldn't, there's there's limited information and advice that I could give to other people because we all have to discover some stuff on our own, and I wouldn't want to lead you down a path with wrong information and then have you waste time and waste money. There are definitely devices that you could use to measure moisture content and stuff like that. And I'm sure that there are books and videos and websites devoted to the subject, and you could just find all that out for yourself. I think it's a great idea. In fact, what I'd like to be able to have happen, or I wouldn't mind having happen, is that somebody, for instance, says, if you're using maple for planes and such, that there's an ideal moisture content that I discovered. Here's my reference. It's a website, it's a book, so and such. There's a cheap device that helps you measure it, and then put it in one of my chats, put it in one of my comments, or one of my, the appropriate video, and then everybody has access to that information. I'm all for it. One thing that I will do with a plane like this, which I've done many times before, the ends are sealed, and I won't cut the ends off until right at the very end of finishing the plane. So basically, what I'm encouraging this to continue to dry right up until I cut the paint off the ends, and it'll still dry. It'll just reach a point where probably it doesn't dry anymore. I don't know what that's called. Ambient moisture content or something. Who the hell knows what that's called? That's another good question. The center of the log was pretty much right under the center of the blank. And I'm already at the perimeter right here. So this was a smaller section of the trunk. So what I'm going to do is trim it as best I can right underneath this bark, and that will be the bottom of the plane. So I believe I have the grain orientation the best that I can. There's really not much else I could do with it. But otherwise, it's not the greatest grain, but I don't get a chance to have like truckloads of blanks where I could start going through stuff and everything. This is really all I have. And although it may not be ideal, I think it's going to make a real nice plane. Let's see what the twist looks like. Not bad. Okay. All right. So a little bit of a high spot right here. All right. That's too aggressive. Okay. Switch over to the other one. That's what I like. Good questions. Okay, let's see what we got now. High spots. It was at one time. Yep. You got a keen eye. Yeah. Um, this is a failed attempt at making a float with just a file. And I gave up on it until I came up with the idea of using the hacksaw first. The hacksaw is the key to making floats. Trust me. Once you use the hacksaw, it's a piece of cake. So this was a failed attempt at a float, and that's why I use it as a winding stick, and I use it for other crap too. The only problem I have with using the um, the hacksaw to cut the teeth on the float to start the cut is the steel gets hot. So if you're doing multiple floats, you can go from one float, cut it, let it get real hot, go to another float, let that first one cool off, et cetera, until you finish all your work. Otherwise, you got to let them cool off. I overheated my thumb as I was guiding the hacksaw, and I got like a blister. It was just stupid. So other than that, it's a piece of cake. You just make any float you want. It's no big deal. No big deal. You don't need a machine shop to make a float. Yep. Since you mentioned floats, I'm going to have a project coming up. I'm going to make basically a full set of skewed floats. The stock is going to be a little smaller. I made most of my floats out of 1-inch stock, but for these, it's going to be 3/16 by 1/2, and every one of them will be skewed, and I'm gonna cut the teeth into the faces. I'm gonna cut the teeth into the edges in different combinations, and so one will have a face, one will have an edge and a face, one will have a face only, and so on and so forth. And then I have projects that are going to come up that are going to be skewed planes with skewed blades, and they're going to be skewed rights and lefts. So I need skewed floats that are handed. And right now I just have one skewed float, and I don't think it's going to do the job. So I have a project plan to make multiple skewed floats in different configurations, and then further down the line will be the projects that involve planes with skewed blades. So and that will also illustrate that, because I'll be doing more detailed videos. Like my first video on making floats is, it's all sped up, it's quick, you see me do it, but there's really no explanation, and it's one of my most popular videos, and I think it's a myth buster, and I think it's worth revisiting. And I'll turn making the floats into longer videos and possibly a series or a live stream, and then everyone will see how easy it is to make the floats. And then I'll just put that to rest, and then that'll be a reference for making floats by hand. Every once in a while, I see one or two videos on YouTube that involve making floats, and I know one guy, I think he makes them with an end mill or something like that. I don't have an end mill. I don't think a lot of people have end mills. And if you're working like me with almost no tools in your kitchen, uh, make your floats by hand. Just use a hacksaw and a cheap file, and you got it made. You don't need a machine shop. You just need a good idea. That's all. All right. Still high. Still high. All right. Pretty darn close. This will be good. This is all going to be removed anyway. So this is just, it just needs to be square enough and straight enough to pass through the saw. These are all going to be, these three faces are all going to be removed, and it'll have to be re-squared and re-straightened once it gets close to its final size. So this is fine. Let me put this down and get this off the bench. So that was a while. That took a while. I believe that took over 2 hours. It's all right. It's got to be. Okay. So this looks great. It's not a perfect blank. There was some checking in here. I re-glued all that. Some of it's going to come out when I recut it. And the rest of it, if it's a defect, I'll just live with it. It's not going to be a big deal. So I have one more thing that I want to do before I sign off. I have the tote. I have the tote for the rip saw that I made. So I sanded it, and now I'm going to put a finish on it. Nothing fancy. I use the polyacrylic. This is the water-based, what is it, clear satin. Like I said, nothing fancy, but it'll protect the handle. It'll keep it from getting all grimy from my hands. And that way it'll be fine. See, see it better like that. How's that? All right. And I got a sawzall blade right where the blade would be, and I wrapped it with tape so I don't get the finish on it. And I'll just do one half of it and then flip it over and do the other half, and that'll be that. I'll probably put 3 or 4 coats on it. It's clear satin. I tend to stay away from the glossy finishes. So probably the first coat will just get pulled right in. This wood right here might be like 100 years old, maybe more. So it's super, super dry. It's got no moisture in it. It's really, really dry. Dried out a long time ago in somebody's shed or somebody's basement. So this coat's going to be pulled right in. Probably the next one. And then once it starts laying on the surface, then the coats will build up. Once I get where I want it, I'm going to stop. So who knows? It's no big deal. So I'm happy that a few people watched. And if you're watching later, that's okay too. It's really no big deal. It's just a video of me working. So I appreciate everybody that comments, watches, likes, subscribes. I got a few polls going up. I got some ideas for different polls. Um, use the polls, the comment section of the polls. In case you don't know, there's a place where you can write things just like you can for a video, but it's not video related. It's the poll subject, but you can talk about anything there. So, for instance, if you wanted to go and make a suggestion for another poll, go there and say, how about you do another poll based on something else? And then we could turn the channel not only into a place where I make videos and other people watch them, but a place where it's like social media, where we have more enlightened discussions about the hobby and about, you know, other issues related to woodwork and stuff like that, and whatever comes up. Um, I think that the stimulation is very important, and I think that a lot of us work alone and don't have access to other people's input, and you know, there's a limit to the kind of stimulation you can get from watching a video, and we can discuss them too. We can discuss anything. So, like I said, thank you everyone for watching the videos, commenting, subscribing. It means a lot to me. And so, thank you very much. And like I say all the time, stay strong because there's a heck of a lot more work to do. Thank you, everybody.